What if tomorrow everyone stopped lying? Let's imagine a simple experiment. Tomorrow morning, people lose the ability to lie, not because they suddenly became saints, but because the brain can no longer assemble a false statement into words. You can stay silent, change the subject, or refuse to answer, but you cannot deliberately say something untrue. The first hours, a truth shockwave. The first things to collapse would be small, social lies, the ones that lubricate everyday communication. I'm fine. That's so interesting. You look great. People would begin speaking more precisely and more sharply. Conversation would start to sound like a report. What I see is what I say. This would create a lot of conflict because lying often works like a shock absorber between thought and speech. It buys time, prevents unnecessary pain, and keeps situations from escalating. Without that absorber, society would feel the impact, like a car that suddenly lost its suspension. Day 1. Chaos inside familiar systems. Next, the damage would spread to areas where lying isn't accidental. It's a tool. Advertising and sale. Most products are sold not through facts, but through promises and hints. The best, unique, this will make you happy. If lying becomes impossible, ads would suddenly resemble instruction manuals. What the product truly does, what it doesn't do, and who it isn't for. Sales would drop, but trust in what remains would rise. Politics. Press conferences would turn into direct answers. Not, "We are working on it," but "We didn't manage it." Not temporary difficulties, but "We made a mistake." Some people would feel relief. Others would feel shock, because they are used to public words rarely matching real intention. Courts and investigation. The effect here would be double. On one hand, testimony would become more accurate. On the other, people would lose the ability to lie out of fear or polish their stories to look better. Trials would move faster, but become psychologically heavier. Truth leaves less room to hide. Social media. It partly runs on image rather than fact. If people can't lie, perfect lives would crack. You can post a photo, but the caption, "I'm happy," won't come out if you're not. Feeds would become less glossy, but more human. Why did lying exist at all? From a scientific perspective, lying is not simply bad. It's a function tied to survival and relationship management. It has 3 main roles. First, protection. People lie when they fear punishment or loss. It's a basic but effective way to reduce risk. Second, exchange. In society, we constantly negotiate. Attention, status, benefit. Lying can become part of that bargaining. Not always ethical, but common. Third, care. Paradoxically, lying can be an attempt to be kind. Not to say too much, not to break someone's mood, not to humiliate. It works like soft packaging around the truth. When these roles disappear overnight, we would need replacement. How to protect ourselves without lying, how to negotiate without manipulation, how to be tactful without falsehood. A week later, new rules of the game. After a few days, people would start adapting. Substitutes for lying would appear. Silence becomes power. "I'm not ready to answer" becomes normal instead of suspicious. Precision becomes culture. Instead of soon, in 20 minutes. Instead of maybe, "I don't want to," or "I'm not sure." Responsibility increases. Before, you could promise and later talk your way out. Now, promising means truly planning, because you can't cover failure with pretty words. Relationships would change. Some couples would break quickly. Not because of truth itself, but because they were held together by unspoken compromises. Others would become stronger. When the game of "guess what I really mean" disappears, clarity arrives. A month later, slower society, stronger trust. The economy would slow down because many processes today rely on selling the future with words. Investors, leaders, and salespeople all love promises. Without lying, only promises that can realistically be fulfilled would survive. But something else would grow: trust. And trust is fuel for cooperation. When you know the other person cannot lie, you spend less energy on verification, suspicion, and reading between the lines. Over time, That could make society less anxious, possibly even more efficient, but not immediately. The biggest risk: truth without wisdom. There is one major but. If people stop lying, it doesn't mean they become kinder. Truth can be a weapon, just like lies. You can tell the truth to humiliate. You can manipulate honestly by choosing facts strategically. You can speak truth without empathy and still cause harm. So the main outcome of such a world isn't simply no lies. It's that the convenient mask disappears, and it becomes clear who can be honest while still being humane, and who is simply harsh. What do you think about this?